Hello, good night. This is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe. It's so good to be back today as we enter the holiday season. Hi there, Empress Precise Pro Paint. It's nice to see you. Thanks for joining. I am so glad that I can touch base with you. As you know, we have been busy, but I want to take the time to touch base with you, to take your questions. Hi, James, and to go over what we have planned for 2025. Hi there, Instagram, my friends on Instagram. It's nice to see you. I'm so happy. I know you are probably busy with hi there, busy with the holiday season as well. So I really appreciate you being here, and it's so good to be able to touch base with you. Hi, yeah, I'm doing so good. Thank you. Thank you. We are getting ready, so it's been very busy, but it's a good thing because we're very busy here because we are getting our applications filed for our clients, making sure that they're good. Hi there, Pinnock. It's nice to see you. So I have the stacks of packets that I am reviewing, and so we want to make sure our clients are okay and everything is good for them as we enter the new year. But I wanted to answer, I'm going to answer your questions, but I wanted to just talk to you, remind you, if this is your first time joining my live, or you may not have joined it as often as some, which I appreciate. I know some of you, I'm going to be saying the same things that you've heard before. But for those of you who are new, I want to talk to you about types of relief to get protection from deportation that I know you have not thought about. Usually, when people think about, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, Ricky. I know I was wondering where you were. So, as always, if you need assistance from us, you know where to find us. So here's the deal, right? Is whenever people think about protection from deportation, they think about asylum. And sometimes, unfortunately, and asylum can be an answer to get protection, but it is not the only answer. A lot of people don't realize that they can seek protection based on what you have experienced, what you have, what has happened to you, what has anybody done to you, to create an avenue for you to seek relief. Now, what I find a lot of people think about, the first thing they think about when they think, well, yeah, I was abused or I was exploited, they think that somebody is going to get into trouble. That's the first thing that crosses their mind. And so once again, they put themselves in the back burner. Another thing is they think they're going to get into trouble for seeking help and relief. So that's the first thing I want you to do, is know that when you contact us, we can advise you about the best avenue and what to expect during the process. We want to know, what are your goals? What are you afraid of? And then we can address your concerns. But the focus is in your best interest. We want to make sure that you have the knowledge, you have the know-how to be able to get this relief, right? Without having to involve the fear. We want you to be in a safe environment in our consultation where you can trust us, you can talk to us. Hi there, Carrie. You can talk to us, and you can let us know what you're going through. And then we, in this safe environment, can talk to you about the avenues to get you the protection you need. All right. So don't think about, oh, is anybody going to get into trouble? Am I going to get into trouble? Is it going to work? Am I gonna get denied? And am I going to get deported if I get denied? Those things we need to talk to you in an appointment where we can address each and every one of your concerns, and we can find out if you qualify for this relief. So, with that being said, here are some forms of relief that you should be considering to get protection, right? And because a lot of people think you have to apply for asylum or you have to end up being detained and a judge has to stop you from being deported. And you can actually apply for relief before it even gets to that point where you are before a judge asking the judge to stop your deportation. That's really stressful. And you want to be proactive. You want to be able to have some power in your process, and these processes that I'm going to explain to you do that. So we have, first of all, I'm going to explain to you VAWA, right? We talk about VAWA, if you have been mistreated or if you have been abused, if you have been subjected to extreme cruelty, because a spouse, a US citizen or a green card holder spouse, a parent, if you are under the age of 21 or you are under the age of 25 and you're under the age of 25 because you were mistreated and you delayed applying for immigration relief because you were mistreated, you can still qualify for this. If you are the parent of a US citizen who's age 21 or older and they are mistreating you, they have mistreated you, you can qualify for VAWA. And VAWA is a form of relief that gets you to the green card. Just this week, just in the past 2 weeks, we have gotten multiple approvals for VAWA. And our clients are okay now. They are in what's called, so once they get approved for the VAWA, they are in protected status. And not to mention, about 2 months after applying, 2 to 3 months after applying, our clients get what's called a prima facie determination letter. And then that in itself can offer forms of relief and forms of protection while you wait for the decision to be made, right? So there's the prima facie determination letter, but then once you get qualified and you get approved for VAWA, it means that you're in deferred action and you're protected while you then move on to getting the green card, right? And the green card right now, after you're approved for VAWA, within 6 months to a year, you can expect to get the green card. Now, I know what you're thinking is okay, 2025 is coming. We have a new president that is definitely has a history of implementing anti-immigration policies and who has vowed to get rid of these types of relief. So, is it worth pursuing it? And this is where I'm going to tell you something else. Yes, but you need to make sure that you are proactive because the reason I say this is because, yes, let's talk about Project 2025, right? Project 2025 talks about getting rid of the T visa, getting rid of the U visa, getting rid of relief for immigrants who are being victimized in the United States, being abused, being mistreated. The thing about this is they cannot do this until they go through Congress, they have to repeal the laws, and then they have to implement either repeal the laws, which is going to take time, not to mention it's going to be highly controversial because these are long-standing laws that have been in place since the year 2000. So it's not going to be an easy feat. So on day one, when Trump takes the office, that is one thing he cannot just get up as unilaterally as an individual and say, and it's over. No VAWAs, no T's, no U's, no asylum, because it is statutory law, meaning Congress has authorized this form of relief. And as in the president's administration, the executive branch of the government, they have to follow the laws. They have to, right? And once you qualify for this form of relief and you apply, you have the ability to show you qualify. And we as attorneys fight for you. So even if, yes, it gets difficult, once you qualify and you put yourself in a position to apply for this form of relief, it means that you have a fighting chance. Not only a fighting chance, you have more than a fighting chance because you qualify. And when you qualify, you get it, right? Because the law says you have to get it. So this is where I say, don't throw your hands up and say, what's the use? I'm just going to go into hiding and I'm just going to hope and pray that things work out, right? That's no way to live. You have to live, you have to work. I know that a majority of immigrants here are contributing to the labor force. If if you don't work, you not only you can't support your families, another thing is that even the US can't function, right? So life has to move forward. But the question is, what is there that's available to you to be able to qualify and get this relief, get this protection? So VAWA is one of those avenues that I know you probably have not thought about that you should be thinking about. And in order to determine whether you're qualified, that is where give us a call, schedule your appointment. We have multiple attorneys that are available and ready. We are gearing up, guys. We are ready. So make sure that you call, you schedule your appointment, and let's talk about your particular situation so we can get this in. Now, the other thing is the T visa. I see a lot of questions coming in about that. The T visa is, and even it is one of those types of forms of relief that still yet a lot of people are either afraid of or don't know about. The T visa is for victims of trafficking. And if you look at the USCIS policy manual, it's very surprisingly, it's very easy to read, and it is, I tell you, it has been a godsend for my clients who have been victims of abuse by employers, by individuals, by intimate partners. It is very clear. If you're in a situation where you have been mistreated by, and when I say mistreated by an employer, by any individual, and that person has mistreated you for the purpose of forcing you to do things for them, whether it's to do sexual acts, whether it's to do work, whether it's to do work around the house, whether it's to provide a service for them that you would not have been willing to do, but they have done something, whether it's mistreatment through fraud, through coercion, or even physical force, you can qualify, right? So we've gotten this approved for our clients who were lied to by their employers. The employers cause them to accept a job based on a lie. Hey, if you stay, don't go back home. We will sponsor you. Don't worry about anything. We'll fix your papers. Just stay. And when you stay, we'll, look about the papers. You'll be fine. You're actually not violating the law because we're going to take care of it. And then you find out after working your butts off, you find out that it was never true. The employer, most cases, they know it's not true because they're very experienced in hiring undocumented immigrants. So they know they can't do that, but they've given that promise. That's fraud straight out the gate. And you would have gone back home, or you would not have accepted that job if they did not promise you the papers. That was the sole thing that made you decide that, okay, this employer, I trust them, they know what they're doing, let me take that job, right? But in addition to that, usually there's a pattern, right? As soon as you overstay now, they're maybe cutting your pay. They're now not paying you what they promised, or they're taking money out of your pay. Maybe you don't have an ITIN, you don't have a social, but yet they're telling you they're taking taxes out of your pay, or they're taking your tips, or they are, if you break things, or they're making you pay rent, even though you live at wherever you're working, you have to live there to do the work, but they're taking rent from you. Those are all, if you read the policy manual, those are all examples of forms of treatment against an immigrant that can get them the T visa. But we need to make sure, you need to make sure you're proactive on getting in touch with us and finding, helping us to help you to find the solutions. So those are two forms of relief that you can get and protections you can get that you can apply for without dealing with the stress. You don't have to defend yourself in court. You don't have to, worry about going to hiding. You can apply for these forms of relief. And you're putting yourself in a power position, because once you qualify, it means that you're able to get this. You're able to show the government that you deserve this. So get in touch with us. Let's talk about your case and then let's get started. The sooner, the better. As I said before, I have a very, very tall stack that I'm going through because we're rushing, not rushing, I don't rush, but I am making sure that our clients' documents are filed. They're okay. And then, we've gotten even our clients who have now gotten their approvals. I just can imagine the feeling that they have, right? We just got approvals in the past few weeks, just in time. And those clients, I just can imagine the relief, right? We had T visa approvals for an entire family, for two sons and a husband and a wife, all at the same time. And they can move forward with their lives. The next thing they're doing is now looking at getting the green card, right? So they have the protection. They don't have to worry. Another client of mine, I just was in the office, looked, she has her 5-year work permit now based on VAWA. That does bring an element of security, and it reassures my client that as her process continues, she will be protected because she has her social, she has her work permit. So these are just examples of ways to get protection. And I would say this, I understand that you have fears, you're uncertain. But I believe I heard somebody say to me, knowing is your power. Knowing is your power. So just having a conversation with us and knowing that you qualify for relief is your power. Sitting here and pondering on what's the worst to come and not knowing is the worst. And it makes you feel helpless. I know that it can make you feel helpless, but knowing is your power here. All right, so I want to go ahead and answer some questions. I see a lot of great questions, and I always enjoy answering your questions. So I'm gonna go across the line. So as I go across, I'm gonna start with TikTok, YouTube, then Instagram. So please just be patient as I make my way around to you. All right, so I submitted an application for TVs in August, no reply yet. Am I in danger? So no, you filed your application. You are in a much better position than someone who does not have any form of relief, or they don't qualify for anything. Now you filed it from August. We are now getting bona fide determination letters for our clients who filed on or after August 28th. So have you received a receipt notice? You should have at least gotten a receipt notice. I have seen in the past where during a busy time, it can take up to 4 weeks, but I noticed they've been very good lately. I think the timeline to get it is 2 weeks. Misdemeanor won't affect your application. Felony will. No, wrong. Misdemeanors can affect your applications. It just depends on, and this is why I say when you have a criminal record, it's definitely time to talk to a lawyer, because you would be surprised. Misdemeanors can have severe immigration consequences. So, for example, a misdemeanor for possession of marijuana, severe consequences, right? That can still lead to a permanent bar from getting any kind of immigration benefits. So, that's just an example here. So, don't assume that just because you have a misdemeanor, it's going to be okay. A misdemeanor can still possibly even be deportable. So, you have to make sure, especially in this climate, that you understand the full consequences of that. And really, it is on a case by case basis. Is it possible to get your SSN and work permit while a NOID is pending? So with the noise, you usually have 30 days to respond. It's possible, but usually it's rare that you're gonna get, you're going to get that work permit while a NOID is pending, because that means that they are getting ready to deny it unless you can prove that they should not deny it. Do you deal with fiance visas, spousal visas? Absolutely. And now is the time to make sure that you have an attorney who's working on your case. During the last Trump administration, I did practice during Trump's administration, and I can tell you that even though it should be simple, it is not going to be. We can expect interviews to come back. We're going to see a lot more measures to implement fraud detection, which is going to make process times longer. And it means that they're going to be a lot more harsh in their review of the application. So don't risk it. Get counsel on your case. If I get tickets in another state, what happened with me when I get my interview tickets? Um, Always get advice. This is not personalized legal advice, but generally, traffic tickets don't necessarily, it doesn't come with any kind of consequences. But factually, if it's gonna contradict something that you said in your application, like you lived here, but then you got a traffic ticket in another state, then does it contradict something in your application? Is that something you want to clarify? You want to make sure you're prepared for questions like that. Um, so you basically just deal with people trying to get their paperwork. Well, that's what immigration attorneys do. Yeah. So every single immigrant, we have to work with them to get their immigration papers, right? No matter what background they're from, no matter where they are, they're outside of the country, they're in the country, we get their papers. Yes. Can I apply for VAWA and asylum at the same time? Yes, it's possible. Absolutely. So say you are here, your asylum was pending, then you now qualify for VAWA because you got married or you had a parent here who mistreated you, then yes, absolutely. Um, how long does a green card take to be approved? It depends on what kind of application. Is it family based? Is it employment based? If you're outside of the country, are you in the country? That's going to determine the length of the time. I submitted an application for T in August, no reply. If you didn't get a receipt notice, yeah, you need to check with them. Um, it's been 13 months now. I-130 hasn't been approved, please. And it depends on what kind of application. Are you an over 21-year-old child or a son or daughter of a U.S. citizen? Those tend to take longer than an immediate relative of a U.S. citizen, which would be a child under 21 or a spouse of a U.S. citizen or a parent of a U.S. citizen. Those take shorter. So it just depends on what kind of I-130 has been filed. Can someone do a VAWA and H-1B visa? Yes, that's possible. Can I apply for VAWA and asylum at the same time? Yes. Pleasant good night. I sent you a message in regards to immigration case. So if you should have gotten a reply, feel free to DM us in TikTok, in Instagram. DM us. We do have our staff that make sure that you get the attention you need. Um, what are the necessary steps and docs I need to start application for a work permit? It depends. Work permits, you can't just go and print a work permit application offline and apply for a work permit. You usually have to qualify for a benefit that where a work permit comes with a benefit. So this is where I talk about VAWA, the T visa, asylum, adjustment of status based on family or employment, because with those comes the work permit with it, that allows you to stay here and get the green card at the same time. Processing times for the T visa, so it's going a little over 12 months now. I would say 12 to 18 months now. Is it true that VAWA will now have interviews? Yes. So what's happening is because, oh my, there's so much fraud with VAWA. What has happened is, I believe in New York there was a big conviction for one of the scammers, and this was happening, I think, mainly New York, but you have this going on all over, where people are starting to, these corner store immigration, so-called immigration scammers that put themselves out there as like paralegals, are saying, hey, I can get your work permit. And then immigrants go to them saying, thinking they're upstanding, they're doing the right thing for them. And what they're doing is they're applying for VAWA. That's what I've heard through doing consults with people that have been victims of these scammers. These scammers are applying for VAWA even though the clients don't qualify for VAWA in the least. But what happens is some of the applications go through, they get their work permit, they get their social while they wait. And then the officer is finding later on that this is a fraudulent application. So the applicant is the person that gets in trouble. Very rarely is the scammer in trouble. But in New York, I believe one of them was arrested because she was doing this across the board, getting everybody. She became as known as this woman that was just helping immigrants get their work permits, but she just wasn't telling them how she was doing it. So now what they're doing is they're interviewing people to make sure that they truly qualify for VAWA. So that is a shame that, now they're messing it up for others who truly qualify, in that they're making it more difficult. They now have to implement processes that can make immigrants nervous. So yeah, they are doing interviews. Now, what I've heard is that they call you in for an interview and they ask questions to make sure that you're aware of the application and why you're filing it. They want to make sure you know what's in the application. They also ask you questions about the mistreatment, which can, cause one to relive the trauma that they experience. So that is hard in itself. But yes, that is what is happening now. They are doing VAWA interviews now, not just for adjustment of status, but for the actual VAWA petition, to make sure that it's not a scam or it's not based on fraud. So yeah, we just have some people that mess it up for other people. And this is where I say, go to lawyers, especially now, especially in 2025. Don't chance it. I know you want to cut corners, save some money here and there, but by the time you go through the ringer with these people that are true scammers, or they don't know what they're doing for you end up spending far more than that. And the damage sometimes is irreparable, because when you get denied based on fraud, that's a permanent bar. So please avoid these scammers. And I know you don't know they're scammers, but if they're not true attorneys, if they're not experienced attorneys, think twice about it. Even if they're not attorneys, they have to be certified immigration specialists. They have to be certified by USCIS. So please be very picky about your selections. Don't let people, and make sure you look at your applications. Every single one of our clients have to review their own application before we send it. That has been a policy because we always want to make sure our clients have a say, that they know what we're filing on their behalf, and all our clients have access to their records at all times. So, if your asylum application persecution is not under a category, can I get a work permit? I had fight coworker. So I'm not sure what the question is here. If you don't fall under the categories for asylum, you don't qualify for asylum. So you're not supposed to be applying for asylum if you don't qualify for it, because that can also lead to big problems. I submitted an application for T. You answered that. Hey, can I upload? Um, Can I upload more evidence after I've attended marriage-based green card interview? Yes, you can, but have they asked for it? Sometimes it gets lost in translation if they haven't asked for the evidence. You can also send it in by paper. Can no biometrics first, then prima facie will be given if no RFE is asked for. So yeah, just be careful who you're getting answers from on this chat here. Another thing I want to note here, guys, and I have to say this in every live, is that there are scammers out there that are now impersonating me. So please make sure that you are following my page, that you don't follow other one of those impersonated pages. I will never ask you to send anything via WhatsApp, Cash App. I will never ask you. We've even stopped doing Zelle. We've stopped doing money transfer. The only thing we do is PayPal, and we do that through our official system, our official link in bio, our official link tree, where you have to book the attorney, and then you can pay by debit, credit card, or through PayPal system. We will never say WhatsApp you. We'll never WhatsApp you. We'll never ask for Cash App, and we'll never tell you to pay a large amount of money before qualifying you for the case, right? We talk to you at length in a consultation, and then we say you qualify, and we have a very orderly way to send our clients quote sheets, send our clients invoices, and retainer agreements. So please make sure that you understand, make sure you verify that you are talking to us officially. Our number, that's the only number, 561-405-4889. We're not going to call you from other numbers. So please just be careful. Double check those pages that may be impersonating me, because I'm getting reports it's happening, and we've even had to report this to the authorities because it's getting pervasive. So this is the official page, so mark it and stay with this page. Same on Instagram, it's immigration lawyer. Oh Lord, sometimes I forget my own name. I believe it's immigration lawyer Sharifa Tharpe. Let me. Immigration attorney Sharifa. Immigration attorney Sharifa on TikTok. So please make sure that you're following that page, not immigration attorney, not the immigration attorney. It's immigration attorney Sharifa. So make sure we're the official page. All right, so I'm going to go on YouTube. I think USCIS should only issue EAD if prima facie is determined. It will shoo away the scammers. And you're right, but some of them still, and this is what the problem is. I think this is where the scammers are probably making up stories on behalf of the immigrants as well, so that they can get past that prima facie stage and still get the work permit, because usually you don't get the work permit until you go through that prima facie stage anyway. So they're committing fraud and they're getting immigrants into trouble. So please make sure that you are very careful. I just applied for VAWA also, having absence deportation order. I just did joint motion. Fiscal is agreed to join us um, re, to reopen. Do you think new administration won't allow judges to reopen? They can't. The administration can't tell judges not to reopen. So you're on track for that right now. If the judge reopens, you are good to go. That is, this judge still has. That's why they're there. They have the authority to make decisions, and third parties, not the government, is under the precedence of the judge, right? The judge still supervises, makes the decisions, and the government counsel and the defense attorney has to abide by the judge's decision, not the other way around. I have applied for I-94 extension, but haven't heard from them yet. And my days are nearly out. Can I stay or I have to leave the country? So you have to be very mindful of the risk you're taking. If you stay and they deny it, then your visa is good as gone. If you stay and they approve it, then that's good, right? You're okay there because they approved the extension. So it really is very risky. If at that point you have to decide whether you want to take that risk. Can someone who has stayed for over 1 year, came as a student, found love, get pregnant, born, file asylum? It gets harder if you apply after the year. You have to now, I wouldn't say falling in love is going to be an extraordinary circumstance, but if you got pregnant, you were going through a lot of health issues that really you had to put it, applying for asylum on the back burner, then that may be a valid exceptional circumstance to justify the delay in applying before the 1 year deadline. Hi there, Cheryl. It's nice to see you. Good evening. Thanks for once more bringing us up to date information. Thank you. And speaking of up to date information, US citizens or those who have children here, go get your children's passports now. Do not wait. Set the appointment to get their passport now. Because Trump he does have an executive order sitting in his drawer waiting for January 20th, where it states that any children who are born in the United States to parents who are not citizens or residents will not be a citizen. So that means that what they can start doing is we start to see denials at the Department of State for passports, right? This is definitely going to be challenged because the Constitution is the highest law of the land and gives the right to citizenship. However, it means that there's going to be a fight about it, which means that whatever executive order they put in place, if the court decides that they're going to put a halt on giving all passports until they can make a decision, that can be possible, right? So start to get those things done. That's one of the things I would say, just get done before they, I know we're almost to the end of the year, but make sure to set those appointments now to get the pass. I'm pretty sure probably we have thousands of people doing that. If you're a naturalized citizen, you have not gotten your passport yet, go get your passports now. Don't wait. Do it. If you are a naturalized citizen and your children are supposed to get citizenship, go get their passport. You can do that now. Once you become a citizen, you can just apply for your children's passports. If they become citizens with you automatically, get their passports, right? so that you can make sure that at least you have that in place. All right. So let's keep it going. I was out of status for years. I have visa if I travel outside the US and come back in. Can adjust status through family. No, the visa, once you've overstayed, you cannot use that visa. I know a lot of people like to say, I have the 10-year visa. It hasn't expired yet. I overstayed though. Um, you will not be able to get your passport. You will not be able to get your visa. You'll not be able to come back into the country if you leave after overstaying. So definitely not. You can't just leave and come back. I filed VAWA application, but did not send the adjustment of status yet. Marriage or green card holder. Can they call me for an interview for my VAWA application once I send it? Yes, they can. Can anyone get bona fide determination for T visa? Yes, if you applied on or after August 28th, yes, they're prioritizing those for bona fides. My question is, I called, so get on our schedule. Go ahead, get on our schedule ASAP, right? Because the January is right around the corner now. So please make sure you book. We don't have any availabilities unless we have a cancellation, which is very rare. So make sure you go ahead and you book. Book for the date. You'd be surprised how quickly it comes. All right. Hi there on Instagram. Hi. It's so nice to see you all. Hi there. All right. So I'm going through to answer questions. Gonna call you for the new year. Yes, let's talk. I'm let's see. Hi, my nephew got deportation. He's in how do you think we help him? Send me your number. So the number is going across the screen. So just go ahead, take that number down and call the office. When your work permit is denied for the first time, is there any other solution? So if a work permit is denied but you did qualify, maybe that something was just off with it, maybe wrong category, and you can apply, but you'd have to talk to an attorney. What's the cost of file a marriage base? So the cost of our consultation is $150 now. So go ahead and schedule so that we can talk. What if I only have a marriage certificate while filing VAWA? It depends. We'd have to talk to you about what your circumstances are. But having a marriage certificate is a good start, but I want to know more, because you do have to show bona fides of the marriage, that your marriage was real. So I'd want to know, and every married couple has them. We just have to talk to you and find out what on the list you have. How long does the filing process take now between daughter, US citizen, and father? If your daughter is 21 or older, then and the father is in the US about a year. Right now, it's about a year, 10 months to a year. So friend is in detention. Can you help us get him released? So that would have to be through a bond hearing, and we'd have to understand his circumstances. And it depends. We definitely call the office and let's talk about it, because we'd have to know where is he detained and be able to figure out logistics. How much does it cost for filing paperwork, marriage based on so let's talk in a consultation, $150, and then we make sure you qualify, that we can take your case, and then we provide the quote based on your circumstances. Number is 561-405-4889. It's going across the screen. Do you have to wait for VAWA approval before applying for work permit? No, except when you're applying for work permit, you have to apply for adjustment of status. In some cases, you have to wait a little before you apply for adjustment of status. What is VAWA? VAWA is a form of relief that is given to immigrants. It doesn't matter if you're out of status or in status, if you overstayed, if you cross the border without permission. What matters is, did you face these circumstances that can qualify you for relief to get your work permit and your green card? And that is where you abused, mistreated, subjected to extreme cruelty um, by a spouse, a parent, a U.S. citizen or permanent resident, spouse, parent, or adult citizen child. What can one do when his spouse withdraws petition, told lies to USAS just to destroy the person? So we did do have cases like that, and it does get a lot more complicated when the spouse withdraws and puts things on the record under penalty of perjury. That can be a major problem. So we'd have to talk to you. But if your spouse did that intentionally to you, then you would qualify for VAWA. And we have had an approved VAWA based on a situation like that. But we need to talk to you to figure out what happened and what your chances are. Why is the process for a T visa so expensive, yet there is no guarantee? Because the work, it's what the reward is here. That's why it is so expensive. When you are the bigger the reward, the bigger the investment, right? This is an investment, it's not an expense. If you look at it that way, then you're going to lose out. Can you get married in America while here on your visiting visa? Yes, that is possible. Um, My kids are citizens 9 and 10 respectively, and we want them to school in the US. However, they obviously can't stay alone. So what do you advise? So that's more of a logistical question. You want to make sure that they're with trusted people and that they do have the status to, you said they're citizens. So yeah, that's more of a logistical question about who do you have that's trusted, who can take care of them, and that you can make sure they're okay. Because I have a saying, and it's one of the things that I see the most. I don't want to scare you. If you have trusted people, you don't have to be scared. But I have seen this time and time again where you have, so we have a saying that says, come see me and come live with me are two different things. And when I work with my clients, I find that that's exactly what happens is they come to visit and they're all nice. And then when it's time to live with them and they overstay their visa, they turn, or they feel like they have something over you, they become nightmares and it turns into a trafficking situation. So I would say, just make sure that whoever you're making your kids stay with, they're absolutely trusted. I know every parent, you know, aims to do that, but you definitely have to, and make sure you have access to your kids when you're ready. Any EAD, but keep in mind, this is not personalized legal advice. I'm not telling you to do that directly because I am not your attorney. So make sure you seek advice of an attorney, but also seek the counsel of trusted people in your life to decide whether that's the right thing for you. Any EAD received from bona fide under T visa for clients. So that is coming because we have gotten the bona fides. But what they do is they approve the bona fides first and then the work permits come. So we're expecting those to come very soon. My employee supposedly filed for my perm. It has been now 13 months and I still have not heard anything. I now have 8 months left on my H1 visa. In that case, you need to figure out if that it has really been filed, because that really does make it. If the employer filed it, okay, great. But if they haven't filed it and that's the reason you're working for them, or you stayed with them, or you stayed here, then that could be a major problem. Can you sponsor if she only has a green card? You have to be in status. Your priority date has to be current for it to work. So if you overstay whilst married to a green card holder, it's big problems. If you're divorced, how long after having your green card can you file for naturalization? 5 years. Does the T visa require interview? No, it normally doesn't. They have said that they do reserve the right to interview. They've always said that, but they have not done T visa interviews. That may change in the future, but for right now, I have, with all the cases I've not had any interviews. How long after receipt notice is received for a T visa application should one expect a work permit? So right now we're going through a new process called bona fides. It's very likely that's going to go away come next year, the bona fide. So you'd have to, if it goes away, um, where we have an expectation of 3 to 6 months, it's now going to turn back into you only get the work permit after it's approved. So we'll have to see. I applied for AOS. VAWA sent letter of abeyance. They approved my AOS through marriage, but VAWA still pending. What do I do? Wow, that is very particular, and that's a mess. So I would say here, I don't have any specific advice for you because I have to understand your circumstances. But if you were separated from your spouse at the time that and you applied for VAWA, then and now you have to question whether you have to make a correction on this. So it's a tough one. It's a tough one, and I would definitely say this is one for a personal consultation. How long it takes once you apply for advance parole? um, you can apply right in some, it just depends on what kind of benefit you qualify for. I-130 has been pending for spouse since June 2022. Should I be worried? It just depends on what is involved. If there's something you're worried about, then this is where you get an attorney involved. Give the office a call. We can sift through your facts to determine whether you should be worried and what a possible solution is. Do I really have to marry to stay in the US? No. But it depends on, there are options where you can avoid marriage, but we have to know what's going on in your case. Should I pay for my daughter's green card who's arriving this week? Within a few months, I should do my naturalized interview. She'll be 11. So this is very particular, and I wouldn't be able to answer this question. We'd have to talk in a consultation about it. If you entered on B1, B2 visa and would like to remain in the US, is there any relief that one can qualify for if 90 days have passed? Not right off the bat, would have to talk to you. This is why the consultation is very important, because I wouldn't be able to just tell you you qualify for a green card without finding out why do you qualify. Is it risky to work with no work permit while green card application is pending? Now, if you're married to there are certain kinds of green cards that they don't hold working without a permit against you. So you should know that if you're doing a marriage based, if you're the immediate relative of a US citizen, that means you're the parent of a US citizen, the spouse of a US citizen, or the son or daughter under 21 of a US citizen. They don't hold working without a permit against you. Married with a US, but if you are the spouse of a permanent resident, or you are going through employment-based adjustment of status process or any other type of green card, you should not work while waiting. Married with a US resident, should I wait until she got her citizenship to file I-130? The I-130, you can always upgrade it once she turns to a citizen. So, either way, you should be fine. Whether you choose to file an I-130 now, or and or if you do that, then you just have to make sure you notify USCIS that your spouse is now a US citizen and you need to be upgraded to the spouse of a US citizen. Or do it, so yeah, so I would say that's a strategic because filing the I-130 ahead of time, um, it definitely starts the clock on the processing times. And once it is she turns into a citizen, it gets upgraded. So it really, I would say this is more of a strategic question, and it really comes down to what your particular circumstances are. So we can talk in a consultation. How long should it take for an I-130 for over 21 through US citizen parent? 6 to 7 years. So it's been 4 years. So it is 6 to 7 years right now. Got my 10-year green card in February, still married and living with my husband. How long before I can do my citizenship? 3 years. So 3 years, you're still living with your husband. You've lived with your husband for 3 years, and you're a permanent resident. You have your green card. 3 years. Um, what if you've been on H-2B for 6 years doing extensions and want to settle down in the States permanently? You'd have to qualify through family, through employment, um, through different means, but you would have to qualify. Having the H-2B and working those years alone is not going to qualify you. Married with a US resident, should I wait until she got her citizenship to file I-130, or send it and do adjustment of status after she gets it? Either one can work, because if you file the I-130 no, you're still going to have to file the I-45 to get the proper protections here in the US. So either way can work, as long as soon as she becomes a citizen, you file the adjustment of status along with the I-130. If married to a military spouse, is the process a little bit quicker? Not necessarily. But in some cases, if there are compelling circumstances would that you can request an expedite, then that's likely with a military spouse, because sometimes they get deployed, and you want to get through the process before they get deployed. How long is the filing process for a US citizen son filing for his mother living in Jamaica? If outside of the US, you're looking at about 2 years. My husband's parents are US citizens and is filing for him about 12 years now. So yeah, so 12 years now, it should be coming around to where you're gonna hear something. So start checking, make sure you have your case number, figure out if it went to the National Visa Center, so you can start logging in and just checking if they're gonna send correspondence to you in preparation for the interview. Can I include my undocumented spouse when I file adjustment of status for green card through EB2? So the spouse can, once you file adjustment of status, the spouse can go along with you. But here's the problem though. A spouse can go along if they are in compliance with the rules. And for employment based, unfortunately, for employment based like the EB2, everybody who applies has to show they have current status, including the derivatives. So if he's undocumented, unfortunately, he probably will not succeed through that process. I applied for AOS, then FAWA sent letter of abeyance. Okay, so we answered that. That is definitely one that should be reserved for a consultation. If someone has a VAWA case and is processing and he has two US citizen children, does he get deported? Not right off the bat, no. While you're going through the process, you have the ability, even if you get detained, you're more likely to have valid and stronger claims to get bond, to get released, to have your case dismissed because you have a pending case. So it's unlikely that they're going to put their energy into detaining someone who already has a case pending. My working permit says an estimated of 64 months. So I don't know what category you're in, but yes, that's possible. Um, I took a job here as a social worker. Upon arrival, the job was nothing as advertised. Instead, I'm babysitting, cleaning, washing, going to school with the kids. That is fraud. If they promised you that you're going to be a social worker, a professional, is based on your profession, you come here and it is nothing like that, that is fraud. And that means that you can qualify, possibly qualify for the T visa. Is there any long-term work permit visa? So you have H-1B, you have you have the the H-2B doesn't come with a work permit, but it allows you to switch employers. It's more of a seasonal type of visa. The H-1B, you work for one employer and it usually goes up to 6 years. So that is an example of a longer term. I mean, it's not a work permit. You get a H-1B visa, which is a visa that allows you to work for one employer. Work permits are different than the work visas. Work permits come with, you have to ask for specific forms of relief, you get the work permit. And right now they're issuing 5-year work permits, but during the Trump administration, they did reduce work permits down to, I believe, 1 year. So we may see that change coming back again. Will you lose the fees for naturalization if you applied and it's only 3 years since you've gotten green card and is now divorced? Yeah, so if you apply for naturalization and you didn't qualify, they will not give you your fees back. Do you have any information on Canada? No, I don't. I'm not a Canadian immigration lawyer. Does the new law affect person with a 10-year green card but not yet citizen? So there's no new law in effect. So keep that in mind. No new laws, whereas we still have the same laws in place. But Trump has not announced anything that's going to affect a 10-year green card holder. But keep in mind, what I will say here is everything is going to get harder for across the board. Getting citizenship is going to get more tedious, like it was before. We went from a short process to get citizenship to lengthy year to year and a half, waiting for the interview, and it was very tedious. Now here I am going to my clients' interviews, and they're getting sworn in the same day. Some of my clients, we are probably not going to be seeing that anymore. And they're going to be very, very focused on fraud again. So I say this is why you hear me saying, make sure you get a lawyer. I can't emphasize that enough. Don't go to any corner store. Immigration people that say they fill out immigration papers, because I've already seen the negative effects of this. This is exactly why we now have VAWA interviews, or victims are being questioned about the issues that they've gone through, which can be traumatizing in itself because of fraud. So don't go to a corner store, people. Make sure you have an attorney who's qualified to go through the process with you. If Trump gets rid of bona fide determination, will it affect us who applied under current law in 2024? Will it affect the ones after? Very good question. So there is there are policies, and the way that it works is these are based on regulations. So it means that it went through a very rigorous process. I believe the process for this, we had to wait about 4 months for this to go into effect. It went into effect on August 28th. So what will happen is, to reverse these regs, they have to do the same thing. There's going to be a notice period. And so anybody who applied under the current policy that is in place and in effect should be protected by the regulations in place now. So that's another reason why I say get on it. Don't try to apply for this when things are changing, because that by that point you're in a less advantageous position. So make sure you are applying now when we have regulations in place, where if even if when it comes down to it, we can show you applied under these regs, so it means those apply to you, not the new regulations. And that's what happened with the public charge rule. Those who applied before the public charge rule went into effect were not subject to the public charge rule. I don't know why my question was skipped. I don't know why either. How can I file for myself if I've been traveling to USA for over 10 years, now wanting to stay? It depends on your qualifications. How can I obtain a work permit while in the US? It depends. We have to go through your circumstances to see how you qualify. If they call you for an interview, but I have a work permit, can they detain you? So it's unlikely. Even during the Trump administration, we didn't see things like that. You have a work permit in place, and they have to first make a decision before they take your benefits away from you. So it's very rare that we see that happening. You know, if you have an order of deportation in place, then there's more of a risk there of something like that happening. But you've already been approved for the work permit, which means they've already taken any kind of circumstances that you had in your background into consideration. So I would not be worried about that. I mean, you do have to go to the interview. So don't, if you're worried about something, that is where you talk to your attorney and you make sure you schedule an appointment with the attorney so you can be properly advised. Can I file a renewal work permit? My spouse can, my case, but hi, I file a renewal work permit. My spouse, so you can, if you applied for VAWA and you have an adjustment of status and you have asked them to direct the adjustment of status to the VAWA, you can apply for the renewed work permit then, as long as they didn't deny it already. What are the new plans for Dreamers? So that is where, Trump has said that he's willing to negotiate to assist Dreamers to have a pathway. Now, we have heard him make empty promises before. And so it really is, we just have to wait to see if this is going to really come to fruition. I know that on both sides of the aisle, they support the dreamers, right? And dreamers are those who came into the country as children, which means that there, on both sides of the aisle, there are people that are going to advocate for some sort of legislation to protect dreamers. So we have to watch and see. But the tone I'm getting is that he's going to first prioritize immigration enforcement through this mass deportation he's promising. It sounded like that's the priority, and then we can worry about, the dreamers afterwards. So we'll have to see. Can you apply for a work permit renewal knowing you were in an abused relationship, get in touch with us and let's talk about it. It sounds like you may qualify for VAWA, but we want to figure out what's going on. If my I-130, and by the way, if you do qualify to renew the work permit, you want to get on it right away. So let's talk. If my I-130 is approved, but I got pregnant 1 year after applying, can the child be added? If you're being sponsored by a U.S. citizen spouse, the U.S. citizen spouse has to file for the child when they're born. Or guess what? If you have a U.S. citizen spouse and the child is born within the marriage, it means that your child is automatically a citizen. And they just have to submit, like it's sort of like a foreign registration of birth for them to confirm that they're a citizen and give them their passport at the embassy. If you're not talking about a spousal I-130, then your child, then if you're under 21, the parent is a U.S. citizen, that child would not be included. If you are at over 21 or over and being sponsored, then yes, you can bring your child, any children who are under 21 and unmarried, along with you as a derivative. So it just depends on who has filed that I-130 for you. How do you get a work permit if you overstayed your visa? Overstaying your visa alone is not going to qualify you for a work permit. It's your circumstances that qualify you. So what have you been through? What's going on here? Sometimes what caused you to overstay? Was it any forms of abuse that caused you to overstay? That can potentially lead to some benefits for you. If someone is not married and here over, how much time does it take to be approved for the H-1B? So you have to go through a lottery program first. And once you're selected for the lottery, then they usually have you approved by the October. So you usually know by about April whether you've been selected. Then you make sure your application is submitted. And then once your application is submitted, they process it and then finalize your approval by October so that you can start working. If someone is married and here for over 10 years, how can they sponsor themselves? So that alone is not going to get you to sponsor yourself. But if you say you're not married, so you said if someone is not married and here over 10 years, that alone is not going to do it. We have to figure out what your circumstances are. So that's where you should contact us. My wife placed charges on me for domestic violence, which I never did. She is very toxic. So I decided to request to file for divorce. And so out of anger, she got. So I'm so sorry this has happened. And I've seen this before. I would say get as far as you can from that person because they're dangerous. So get as far as you can from them and resist any contact at all. Once you have domestic violence charges, it becomes very serious, and domestic violence is deportable. So it's very important for you to get in touch and let's look at the possibility of VAWA, because if she did falsely accuse you, then that's a form of abuse and extreme cruelty, and it can qualify you for VAWA. But it does complicate your situation. Now, the current policies do say that if you were arrested for something like domestic violence and it's linked to the abuse, then they may not even require you to have a waiver. They will waive that. They will forgive that and still grant your VAWA. But keep in mind that we have a new administration coming in, and that policy is surely going to go out the door. So you want to make sure you get in while that policy is in place, so that we can show that you're deserving of some consideration here regarding the circumstances and how it relates to the domestic violence charge. Is an I-914A mandatory when applying for a T visa? If you want your derivatives to get with you, your spouse, your children to get the T visa with you, yes. Can you renew on work permit if your case get denied? No. Um, all right, that's gonna be it for me tonight. Thank you everybody for your time. I really appreciate it. I am going to work to make more consistent appearances. So please just follow me. Make sure you look out for me. If you follow me, you like, subscribe. It means that when I do come on, you'll get notification that I'm on, and you can come on too if you have time. So please do that. In the meantime, as we gear up for the holidays, just take the time to be with your family, to spend time, quality time with, if even if you don't have your family, quality time with yourselves. Take care of yourselves, be good to yourselves this Christmas, and let's get ready for the new year. So thank you everybody for your time. Thank you, Dream Queen of Hearts. Thank you for your time. I will hopefully see you tomorrow, but remember, just like, subscribe, and then as soon as I can again, I'm gonna hop on. There's a lot going on, so we will talk about it. If you hear anything, you have questions, you can always come on. And as usual, you can send messages through the DM and or call our office to schedule time. You're very welcome. And I'm going to continue to be here. So you need any help, you know where to find me. And we will be here, and we'll be here for as long as it takes, right? Even through next year. So you need help, keep us in mind. Have a good one. Bye bye.